The wedding ceremony was about to begin when my fiancée suddenly announced she was replacing me, the groom, with my own brother. The shock triggered a relapse of my chronic illness, and I could only watch them go through with the ceremony, helplessly waiting to die. At the critical moment, it was my childhood sweetheart, Diana, who saved me with a special medication. In front of everyone, she pulled out a massive diamond ring worth a fortune, confessed her feelings, and begged me to marry her. Frank, forget about a woman whose heart you can't win. Can you give me a chance? I swear, I will love you with all my life. In the 3rd year of our marriage, I went to her office to drop off a file she'd left at home, but I overheard her conversation with my primary care physician. Ms. Vance, Frank has been having severe adverse reactions to the latest drug trials. I'm afraid his life is in danger. Shouldn't we stop? If Frank finds out you've been using him for drug research for the sake of his brother, I fear the impact on you and the company will be immense. Diana's brow furrowed, but after a moment, she shook her head firmly. I've already sacrificed the rest of my life to marry Frank Miller. I can't let Nathan's work be for nothing. If something happens, as his wife, I have the right to waive any legal action. It will not affect Nathan or me in any way. I stood outside the door, my body trembling uncontrollably. For 3 years, my condition hadn't improved. On the contrary, it had grown much more severe. Every time I had a relapse and saw the disappointment and sadness on Diana's face, I assumed she was blaming herself for failing to cure me. This made me feel even more guilty that I couldn't give her a happy life with a healthy body. That's why, even when the medications made me feel absolutely miserable, I never complained. I just suffered in silence and took my pills like I was told. But it turned out her despair wasn't for me. It was for the failure of the man she truly loved. All along, in her eyes, I was nothing more than a guinea pig for Nathan's research. How ridiculous. I actually thought she was my savior. I fought to keep my composure and went home, feeling completely shattered. My mind kept replaying the scene from 3 years ago, when Diana had proposed. She was kneeling on one knee, holding up that brilliant diamond ring, her face full of devotion. Frank, can you please give me a chance? She had said. I swear, I will love you with all my life. Her vow was still so clear in my memory, and Diana had kept her word, loving me with all my life. She loved me enough to use my life to test drugs for my own brother. When I heard the front door open, I instinctively ran to our bedroom and hid in the bathroom. A moment later, I heard Diana's voice from the other side of the door. Frank, are you in the shower? A lump had formed in my throat, so I didn't dare speak, just grunting in response. I waited until I had calmed down and was sure I looked normal before opening the door. Diana was standing right there, her face etched with concern. Frank, you were in there for so long. I was about to come in and check on you. With your condition, I get so worried. The concern in her voice sounded so genuine, yet a chill spread through me, and I started to shiver. She must have thought I was having another relapse. She quickly helped me to the bed and expertly retrieved my medication. Frank, don't be afraid. Just take this and you'll feel better. I stared at the pills in her hand, which now looked like a death sentence. And for the first time, I refused. I don't want it. Diana paused. Then she lifted the pill to my lips. Frank, I know it's hard, but you have to take it if you want to get better. She coaxed me gently, but I knew she wouldn't take no for an answer. Feeling a wave of hopelessness, I opened my mouth. Only after she saw me swallow did Diana stand up, satisfied, and kiss my forehead as if rewarding a child. Her touch was as tender as ever, but I no longer felt any love from it. That's a good boy. You get some rest. I'll come sit with you as soon as I'm done with work. I just nodded, saying nothing. The moment she left the room, I spat out the pill I had hidden under my tongue. The bitter taste filled my mouth, but it was nothing compared to the acrid despair in my heart. I fell back onto the bed, exhausted and curled into a ball. It was a sleepless night. The next morning, I got up early. After Diana left for the office, I used my phone to find a hospital in the suburbs, one where she and her family had no influence or financial ties. After a full battery of tests, the doctor said the results would take at least 3 hours. Those 3 hours were an eternity, every second a new form of torture. I tried to stay calm, telling myself it wasn't too late, but when I finally saw the report and every single marker was dangerously abnormal, I panicked. Mr. Miller, your condition is extremely serious, the doctor said, his expression grave. We've detected several unapproved and dangerous chemical compounds in your blood. Over the years, they have systematically destroyed your immune and nervous systems. The damage is irreversible. If you don't begin immediate intervention, you will die. His words made my blood run cold. I knew things were bad, but I never imagined it was this dire. I'm only 28. I should have been healthy living a full life. Because of them, I'm a wreck, a shell of a man who had to give up his dream of becoming a pilot. My nails dug into my palms as I clutched the report. I hailed a cab and went straight to Diana's company, Vance Enterprises. I rarely visited her at work, so no one paid me any mind as I walked in. As I passed the break room, I overheard some of her employees talking. Did you see that new Patek Philippe she just gave Professor Miller? It's worth a fortune. I'm so jealous. That's nothing. Every time she visited him on her business trips to Europe, she'd bring him gifts worth millions. Now that he's back in the States, she bought him an entire research lab. But doesn't Ms. Vance have a husband? Isn't that cheating? So what? Her husband is a nobody with some chronic disease. He's completely beneath her. I heard she and Professor Miller were childhood sweethearts, but her husband guilt-tripped her with his illness and broke them up. Every word hit me like a punch to the gut. I just stood there, my chest tightening. Just then, one of the employees turned and saw me. "Who are you?" she asked, confused. "I don't think I've seen you around here." I met her gaze and said softly, "I'm a husband you were just saying is beneath your boss." Her face went pale, and she froze, completely at a loss for words. I ignored her, walked straight to Diana's office, and pushed the door open. The first thing I saw was the two of them in an embrace, caught before they could pull apart. When she saw me, a flicker of panic crossed Diana's eyes. "Frank, what are you doing here?" I didn't answer, just looked at her coldly and walked into the room. As the tension thickened, my brother, Nathan, walked toward me with a smile. "Frank, long time no see. I just got back in the country and was catching up with Diana. Don't get the wrong idea. Since you're here, I won't get in your way. I'm sure I'm the last person you want to see." He made a show of leaving, but Diana quickly grabbed his arm. "Don't say that," she chided. "You're Frank's brother. Of course he wants to see you." She turned to me, whispering in my ear, "Frank, honey, that was all so long ago. You should really let it go. And honestly, Nathan didn't do anything wrong. It's been so long since you two have seen each other. Just talk, make peace. You're still family. You need to be in each other's lives." Listening to Diana play the peacemaker, I laughed bitterly to myself. Be in each other's lives? So Nathan could have easier access for his experiments? Fine, I said with a sneer, deciding to call their bluff. Let's all have a chat. Let's chat about how we're going to settle this. I pulled out the medical report and slapped it down on the desk in front of Diana. "I went to the hospital today. The doctor said I've been taking a cocktail of lethal, unapproved drugs. For the past 3 years, you've been the one giving me my medication. Don't you have an explanation?" Their faces froze. Nathan shot a panicked look at the report, while Diana met my eyes for a second before guiltily looking away. But she was a seasoned CEO. She composed herself in an instant, walking over to take my arm reassuringly. "Frank, I spent a fortune getting the best medical team in the country to prescribe those for you. That doctor must have made a mistake. Let's go get a second opinion." "He's right, Frank," Nathan chimed in. "Diana saved your life. Even when I was in Europe, I heard about how she was moving heaven and earth to find a cure for you. She loves you. Why would she ever hurt you?" Nathan's tone was so earnest, so reasonable. Watching them put on this performance, treating me like an idiot, was just pathetic. I was done arguing. I pulled my arm from Diana's grasp and walked out. I hadn't even left the building for 5 minutes when my phone rang. It was the hospital, claiming there had been a mistake with my report. Hearing the terrified, stammering apology on the other end, I knew instantly it was Diana's work. A cold dread washed over me. I immediately called my lawyer and told him to draw up divorce papers. The papers were in my inbox by the time I got home. I had just printed and signed them when Diana rushed in. The first thing she did was pull a small gift box from her purse. It was a ring from Van Cleef Arpels. "Frank, I picked this out especially for you. Do you like it?" she asked. "I know I was wrong to meet Nathan without telling you, but I swear nothing is going on. And about the medicine, you heard, right? The hospital made a mistake. So please, don't worry about it anymore." I mumbled a non-committal reply, then calmly picked up the papers from the table and handed them to her. "Sign them. I want a divorce." "What?" She stared at me, incredulous. "Why? Because I saw Nathan? Because of some mistaken lab report you think I'm trying to hurt you?" "Frank Miller, stop being so irrational," she cried, her voice filled with a hurt and disappointment that sounded so real, as if I were the one falsely accusing her. God, how I wished it were all just a misunderstanding. But the searing nerve pain that flared up constantly was a brutal reminder that this was all real. I let out a bitter laugh and looked her straight in the eye. "You haven't hurt me? Then what do you call marrying me just to turn me into Nathan's lab rat?" "Diana, I heard every word you said to the doctor in the study last night." My words hit her like a lightning strike. The color drained from her face, her composure shattered, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. Her lips trembled as she scrambled for an excuse. Frank, listen to me. I know it was wrong for Nathan to test the drugs on you, but it's for the greater good, to save countless other people. You're his brother. Surely you can understand that. Besides, Nathan was developing these drugs to cure you too. He's your brother, and I'm your wife. Why would we ever want to hurt you? The hypocrisy was nauseating. Even now, caught red-handed, she couldn't speak a single word of truth, still trying to manipulate me. I was done talking. I held the papers out to her again. Signed them. Seeing my resolve, her eyes hardened with anger. She slapped the papers out of my hand and onto the floor. Frank Miller, I will never divorce you. Not unless I'm dead. With that, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I didn't care what she said. This marriage was over. That same day, I packed a bag and left. Diana blew up my phone after she realized I was gone, but I ignored her calls and messages, only texting back that she needed to sign the papers. A few days later, I got an unexpected call from my parents. We hadn't spoken in a long time. Frank, Diana told us you're divorcing her. Why didn't you talk to us about something so serious? My father said. Come over for dinner tonight. Whatever the issue is, we're your parents. We can help you work through it. He hung up before I could refuse. I thought about it for a moment and decided to go. They had always favored Nathan, but they'd never been unkind to me. It was only right to tell them about the divorce in person. I expected a lecture the moment I walked in, but instead, they fussed over me, asking if I was okay. During dinner, they kept piling my plate with food. Every single dish on the table was one of my favorites. I felt a lump form in my throat. Growing up, whenever Nathan was around, the meals were always catered to his tastes. I didn't think they even remembered what I liked to eat. Maybe they did still care about me, still love me. With that thought, I remembered why they'd asked me to come, so I asked, Mom, Dad, don't you want to know why I'm divorcing her? To my surprise, my father shook his head. We know you, son. You're a thoughtful person. If you've made this decision, Diana must have done something to deeply hurt you. If you don't want to talk about it, we won't press you. That's right. You're our son, and we support you no matter what. My mother added, looking at me with such tenderness. In that moment, all the pain and betrayal I'd been holding and came pouring out, and I told them everything. When I finished, my parents were furious. How could they do that to you? Tomorrow, we're going with you to confront that ungrateful son of ours and that Diana Vance. Don't you worry, son, my dad said. We've got your back. A warmth spread through my chest. My marriage had been a disaster, but maybe I had found my family again. It felt like a small miracle. But as I stood up from the table after dinner, the room started to spin. Before I could process what was happening, I saw my mother pull out her phone, her face beaming. Nathan's medicine really works, she said excitedly. I'm calling him right now. My father nodded in agreement, then turned to me. Don't worry, Frank. Your brother will have you cured in no time. My world tilted on its axis. I couldn't believe it. This was why they'd invited me. I bit my lip, trying to fight the dizzy spell. Mom, Dad, I pleaded, his drugs are poison. They're killing me. Nonsense. My mother snapped, her gentle expression gone, replaced by a harsh glare. He's your brother. He would never hurt you. My father frowned. You're just jealous of Nathan's success. That's why you're making up these vicious lies to discredit him. No matter what I said, they wouldn't believe me. A profound despair washed over me, and then everything went black. When I came to, I was in Nathan's laboratory. I struggled against my restraints, but it was useless. Then, Diana walked in. I looked at her like she was my last hope. Diana, please, I begged. Let me go. Please, you have to let me go. I'm going to die if you don't. For a second, I saw a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. But then, as I watched with fading hope, she slowly shook her head. Frank, this new formula of Nathan's can really cure you. You just need to cooperate. Don't be angry with me. I just want you to get better. You always said you wanted kids, right? As soon as you're healthy, we can start our family. We can be happy. I couldn't believe she could still say things like that. I was shaking with so much rage, I couldn't even speak. Just then, Nathan stepped out from behind her, a syringe in his hand. Frank, she's only doing what's best for you. Do you have any idea what she's gone through for you all these years? You're throwing her love back in her face. It's pathetic. Since she's too soft-hearted to force you, I'll do it. I tried to fight back, but it was no use. I could only watch as he injected the contents of the syringe into my arm. A cold dread spread through my veins along with the drug. I began to shake violently, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Within moments, I went into a full-blown relapse, worse than any I'd ever had. They panicked trying to stabilize me, but nothing worked. As my breathing grew faint, Diana frantically called for an ambulance. On the way to the ER, I heard Nathan's furious, frustrated shout. I've worked for years. A cure for multiple sclerosis was within my grasp. If this had worked, I'd be famous. Why did it fail again? Diana rushed to comfort him. It's okay, Nathan. Don't worry. I'll help you. I promise. Then, she turned and looked at me. Right before they put me under, I faintly heard Diana talking to the doctor. You have to save him. If he lives, Nathan can use this as proof that his drug works. Even then, all she cared about was making Nathan's dreams come true. A tear slid down my cheek. I made a vow to myself. If I survived this, I would expose them both and make them pay for what they'd done. The operating room light stayed on for hours. After a long and difficult surgery, they managed to save me. Back in the hospital room, Diana looked at me, her face a mask of apology. Frank, I know I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I promise, no more drug trials. It's just, she began, then hesitated. I knew it. I knew she wasn't done with me. Just what? I'm organizing a press conference for Nathan's new drug, she said. And I need you to be there to testify that his medicine is what saved you. You want me to help you commit pharmaceutical fraud? I said, staring at her in disbelief. You don't need to worry about the details, she said dismissively. I've already paid off everyone who matters. I said nothing. Thinking I was still hesitant, she leaned in closer. I know this is a lot to ask, but I promise this is the last time I'll ever help Nathan. After this is over, I'll step down as CEO. We can move to Switzerland. The air is clean. It's the perfect place for you to recover. I'll devote all my time to taking care of you. She sounded so sincere, but every word was for Nathan's benefit, not mine. I had to give her credit. She really was willing to sacrifice everything for him. Okay, I said without hesitation. I'll do it. The day of the press conference arrived quickly. As Diana and Nathan wheeled me onto the stage, a wave of whispers spread through the audience. I heard he had a relapse at his own wedding years ago, and his fiancée left him at the altar. Ms. Vance married him against everyone's advice and has cared for him ever since. That Frank Miller is one lucky guy. No kidding. He has that disease that no one can cure, and his own brother just happens to invent a miracle drug. Some people have all the luck. All the luck. The kind of luck that kills you. I couldn't help but let out a short, bitter laugh. Diana noticed and leaned down to whisper in my ear. Don't listen to them, Frank. We're the lucky ones to have you. Just stick to the script. Once this is over, I'll give you anything you want. She gently straightened my collar, playing the part of the devoted wife perfectly. But I knew she was just trying to manage me, terrified I wouldn't go along with her plan. Then, the press conference began. A reporter stepped forward, holding a microphone up to Nathan. Professor Miller, can your new drug truly cure multiple sclerosis? Absolutely, Nathan said, smiling as he placed a hand on my shoulder. You're looking a living success story right now. Isn't that right, Frank? The reporter, sensing a scoop, quickly moved the microphone to me. Sir, we've heard that the professor's primary motivation for his research was to cure you, his own brother. Now that you've made a full recovery, what would you like to say to him? I paused for a moment, then took the microphone. Of course, I have a lot to thank him for. As I said this, all the cameras swung toward Nathan. He puffed out his chest, ready to accept my heartfelt thanks. But my next words were not in the script. I'm very grateful to him and to my wife for working together, for disregarding my life, and for tricking me into being their human test subject. I'm also grateful that if it weren't for them, I might have had another 30 or 40 years to live. But now, I'm dying. A stunned silence fell over the room. Before anyone could react, the doors at the back of the hall burst open, and a team of police officers stormed in. An officer's voice boomed across the room. Diana Vance and Nathan Miller? We have evidence that you've been developing unapproved pharmaceuticals and conducting illegal human trials. You need to come with us. Nathan's face went white. He avoided everyone's eyes and stammered an explanation. Officer, there must be some mistake. We've developed the only known cure for this disease. It's not a legal substance. A wave of shocked murmurs went through the crowd. Officer, this has to be a misunderstanding, someone shouted. Professor Miller has a fully recovered patient right here. How can the drug be a problem? Exactly, and Ms. Vance is his biggest supporter. They would never do something illegal, another added. Diana finally snapped out her shock. She rushed over and pushed my wheelchair toward the officers. Frank, tell the officers this is all a terrible misunderstanding. I looked at her with cold contempt. What do you want me to explain? How I helped you commit fraud. I pulled a medical report from my bag, a new one I'd gotten without her knowledge. You claim I'm cured, but this report shows my condition is worse than ever. It's all because of his miracle drug. Diana just sighed dramatically. I'm sorry, officers, she explained. My husband has suffered for so long. His mental state isn't stable. He often says things that aren't true. She's right, Nathan added quickly. He's been like this for years. Here's his psychiatric evaluation. You can't take anything he says seriously. Nathan produced a file from his briefcase, an official-looking report with my name on it. Diana smiled calmly. If you still have any doubts, I can have a doctor examine him right here, right now. My heart sank as I saw her confident expression. No wonder she wasn't worried about me showing up. She had come prepared. See, someone in the crowd muttered. People like Professor Miller and Ms. Vance would never break the law. Exactly. She's the CEO of a major corporation. She has everything. Why would she risk it all for something like this? And then hold a press conference about it. And he claims he got a new checkup? He probably dreamed it. He's just making things up. The tide was turning against me fast. This was my only shot, and I couldn't let slip away. I just had to stall until the FDA agents arrived with their evidence. I'm perfectly sane, I said, my voice ringing with clarity. And if I were cured, I wouldn't be sitting in this wheelchair. Go ahead, have your doctor examine me. Even if they couldn't detect the specific compounds on the spot, years of taking these drugs must have left some trace. The entire press conference was being live-streamed, and a doctor was quickly brought on stage to begin an examination. Diana's eyes met mine, but I couldn't read her expression. Mr. Miller, the doctor announced after a brief examination, your vital signs are extremely unstable. This is not the condition of a man who has been cured. The doctor's words sent another shockwave through the room. Nathan turned to Diana, hissing, how is this possible? You gave him the stabilizer, didn't you? I saw him take it. Diana's head snapped up to look at me, a sudden realization dawning on her face. You knew. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. Thankfully, I had been prepared. Her behavior had been strange this morning, so I suspected she might try something and was extra cautious. I hadn't eaten or drunk anything she gave me today. I suppose because I'd been so compliant lately, she'd let her guard down and hadn't noticed. Everyone here sees the truth now, don't you? I said, my voice growing stronger. If Nathan's drug really worked, why would they need to drug me right before the conference? I'm 28 years old. My condition was manageable, but my dear brother and my loving wife fed me a cocktail of illegal, experimental drugs that have left me like this. Before I could finish, Nathan lunged at me, but the police intercepted him. He could only stand there, shaking with impotent rage. You can't just say these things. You're sick. I can't believe you'd make up these lies to ruin me, but to do this to Diana, after everything she's done for you? Have you no shame? I laughed, but tears streamed down my face. This is what you call treating me well, by having an affair in my home. I took out my phone and played the video I had recorded of them in my house. Their conversation, along with other incriminating sounds, echoed through the hall speakers. The color drained from both their faces. Diana was the first to react, lunging to stop me. Frank, are you insane? She shrieked. Do you know what you're doing? Turn it off. I ignored her and let the video play to the end. Then I played the audio recording of Nathan taunting me in her office. This is my dear brother, I said, my voice thick with emotion. Ever since we were kids, anything I ever wanted, you took. My parents' affection, my fiancé, and now my wife. And you're not satisfied until you've taken my life, too. I wish you'd never come back. Then at least I wouldn't have hoped for anything from you. You're lying. You faked all of this just to get back at me. Nathan screamed, his face twisted in a mask of fury. The crowd erupted. My God, what a mess. It's like a soap opera, sleeping with his brother's wife. I really thought Ms. Vance loved her husband. Turns out it was the brother all along. How disgusting. That poor Frank Miller. I was at that wedding where he got dumped at the altar. I thought Diana was his angel, but she was just using him. His own wife, his own brother, all lying to his face. As the crowd turned on them, Nathan started to panic and tried to shift the blame. It was her. Diana seduced me. She's always been obsessed with me. And I had a moment of weakness. I'm a married man. Diana stared at him, her face a picture of utter disbelief. I just watched them quietly. This was the real Nathan. He would sacrifice anyone and anything to save himself. Before Nathan could say another word, several agents in suits pushed through the crowd. Nathan Miller, one of them said, "You're under arrest for marketing an unapproved drug." The FDA agent threw a thick file on the floor in front of him. How many people were you planning to kill with this poison? Nathan shook his head in denial. No, my research is sound. The drug works. Just give me more time, please. You've had enough time, the agent said sternly. If Diana Vance hadn't been using her money and influence to bury our investigation, we would have shut you down years ago. We know you used other patients besides your brother for your legal trials. You're both going to prison for a very long time. I froze. I thought I was the only one. I never imagined she would sacrifice other innocent people for Nathan. She really had meant it when she said she'd do anything for him. Seeing that the game was up, Diana stopped fighting and confessed. I didn't know the compounds were dangerous. Nathan swore to me that the drug was safe. That's the only reason I agreed to the trials. At this point, there's nothing more to say. But as soon as she finished, Nathan turned on her. I didn't know anything about that. That was all her. She was the one who said she'd handle the logistics. If you're going to arrest someone, arrest her. Diana stared at him, her face a mask of betrayal. Nathan, how can you say that? Everything I did for you. Nathan dropped all pretense. I never loved you, Diana. You were the one throwing yourself and your money at me. I just didn't say no. That's not my fault. Do you honestly think I would have kept in touch with you if you weren't rich and powerful? The original plan was for you to take the fall if anything went wrong. I just didn't count on Frank being so hard to kill. None of this would have happened if he'd just died. Diana slapped him hard across the face. Nathan Miller, I was so wrong about you. I gave you everything for years. And this is how you repay me? You told me the drug was safe. You swore it was a miracle cure. If you hadn't lied, I never would have hurt Frank. Nathan laughed, his face contorted into a sneer. And you believed me. Who's the stupid one here? I didn't say a word. I just watched them tear each other apart with a cold, empty feeling inside. Don't look so smug, Frank, Nathan spat. I may be going to prison, but you're not much better off. You've only got a few years left at best. I looked him in the eye. Don't worry. Even if I don't have long, I'll live long enough to see you sentenced. I hope you enjoy spending the rest of your life behind bars. Diana struggled against the officers holding her, trying to get to me. Frank, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I never should have done this to you for Nathan. I truly believed his drug would work. I forced you to take it because I thought it would save you. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was poison. She reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. Do you have any idea how hopeless I felt every time you forced those pills down my throat? It's too late for apologies now. If you ever care for me at all, you'll sign the divorce papers. No, I won't. I don't want a divorce. It's you I love, Frank. It's always been. Before she could finish, the police led her away. The tension that had been coiled inside me for days finally began to unwind. It was over. I was admitted to the hospital to begin proper treatment. Now that I was off the experimental drugs, my condition improved noticeably. The relapses became less frequent. A month later, Diana and Nathan's trial began. The case was a media sensation, the talk of the entire city. The day before the trial, Diana's lawyer came to see me. He handed me a manila envelope. Ms. Vance asked me to give this to you. I couldn't imagine what she could possibly want to give me. Inside, I found the divorce papers, signed, and a letter. She had fought the divorce so vehemently, yet here it was, finalized. Frank, the letter began, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I just want to do what little I can to make amends. I've left you everything I have left after the civil settlements. Please, you have to live. It's the only thing I can do for you now. It was the first letter she had ever written me. It would also be the last. I knew it was her way of saying she was sorry, but it was far too late for that. The next time I heard their names was on the news. They had both been sentenced. Their crimes were deemed so severe and so dangerous to the public that they both received life sentences. Even with parole, they would likely spend the rest of their days in prison. Their lives were over. I'm continuing with my treatment. The doctors can't say for sure how much time I have left, but I've made my peace with it. Whatever happens, I'm going to live the best life I can. I will cherish every single day I have left.